All right, welcome everyone to the Libertarian Leadership Academy podcast. We've got a really interesting call tonight. I'm with Kyle McCormack. He's a secretary and outreach coordinator for the Libertarian Party of British Columbia. And if you don't know me, I am a former chairman of the Libertarian Party of Washington and current political director. So Kyle and I have been talking. We've done a bunch of podcasts in the past, but there's something really interesting going on in Canada, and I believe candidates in the United States can benefit from this conversation as well. So Kyle, why don't you talk a little bit about what's going on up there?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Michael. And it's always great to be associated with the Libertarian Leadership Academy, which is such a fantastic outlet. So up here in BC, Canada, that's the province, which for your audience is a state on the West Coast. We just had an election called, but there's a couple things interesting about this election. And you're right, Michael. I think this will be very valuable, specifically for candidates who are just getting into politics and are curious about libertarianism and are wondering, how do you actually do it? How do you leap in with both feet? Mm-hmm. So our election was scheduled for next year, October of next year, and we have been preparing for that. All of our plans were structured with the idea that we had a year to go. And 2 days ago, in the middle of this pandemic, while 14,000 businesses in my local city are closed, and while people are terrified out of their minds, our premier just dissolved the government and called an election in 5 weeks.
Wow. Okay. So what does that mean, dissolve the government?
So as soon as the election is called in BC, the government can't do anything anymore. The MLAs, the members of the Legislative Assembly, no longer are MLAs. They're just candidates for their parties. And it's wiping the slate clean, preparing for the election. So there's no more parliament in BC right now.
Wow. Okay. What's the reasoning behind that?
That's just how our government functions here. It's the idea. Honestly, the idea is
anytime they're like, we're gonna have an election, let's dissolve this shit.
That is honestly, yeah. They call it dissolving parliament, and that's just kind of the way it's always been here. I'm not really sure what the logic is behind it. If I had to guess, I would say that they're trying to make it so that people aren't doing things in the legislature solely because it's an election. Mm-hmm. Writing new spending bills, trying to buy votes, that kind of thing. I think it's sort of like a countermeasure against that. It's like, okay, there's an election, the contest is on. Nobody is ahead of anyone else. The incumbents are only incumbents in name. They're not incumbents in terms of political power. They're not sitting anymore. I think that's the idea, if I had to guess.
Okay.
As to why someone would call an election in the middle of a pandemic, that's a question I don't have an answer to.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, they're still requiring you to go collect signatures in person.
They are. Now, so they have made a couple options available, but these options are so complicated that they're really becoming a challenge for candidates to maneuver around. And so it's come upon us as leadership in the party to sort of translate those into simple emails and kind of help guide candidates through the process. There is oral declarations, which basically means someone can just tell you their address and they don't have to sign their signature. They just tell you their address, and then you have to take down their contact info and keep that for 5 years in case the government wants to gut check your nomination, basically.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you say collect 75 signatures, it's basically just get 75 people or more to agree that you should be on the ballot.
That's exactly it. And we coach our candidates to make it clear, like, they're not out there canvassing right now. They're not really supposed to be talking. Obviously, if people ask them, they're not going to be weird about it and just say, like, no, I'm not allowed to talk about that. But the point is that you're getting the signatures. You're not out there to sell people on libertarianism or voting for you. And in fact, you want to assure people, you still get to vote in 5 weeks. This is just so that I have a chance to run. And when people hear that, they tend to feel empowered by it. Actually, they're like, oh, I'm chipping into the democracy. I'm making it, I'm helping out, sort of. Yeah.
Helping out one of your neighbors. I am one of your neighbors. I am out here collecting signatures to get on the ballot. I believe that anyone who wants to run should be able to. Is that something that you believe? Absolutely.
That's exactly how we talk to people. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about the shutdown? And then they tell you and you say, yeah, I agree.
I agree. Yeah. Because we all feel the same way about it. Yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's just a matter of coaching candidates, because one of the biggest fears is the unknown unknowns, right? Like if it's the first time doing something, and you don't have anyone mentoring you or guiding you through that, you don't have any leadership or mentorship, you're going to fail. Like, you're going to fall flat on your face. And it's okay to try and fail and learn that way. But doing things in a way where the candidates feel reassured and they have information and answers to their questions, that has been our response to the snap election. For the past 48 hours, we have been internal emergency meetings all day, calling candidates to make sure they're actually willing to run on such short notice, which we have had overwhelming positive response, has been just incredible. Yeah, really good, and continuing to get good with each hour. So we're trying to make sure that the candidates, as they come in, they're receiving all the information they need, plus, and this is really important, a one-on-one phone call.
Gotcha.
We're not leaving it up to chance. Every candidate is on the phone, usually with multiple people in the executive.
Yeah, and you guys have done a pretty good job in recent years of recruiting a ton of candidates. So
we had some good luck in 2017. We ran 3 times as many candidates as the Conservatives in the province. They had 10 candidates to our 30. We had a leader during the election. They did not. They do now, but we were doing really well back then. And given the circumstance, given that some people don't want to participate because of COVID, and given that just the climate is so strange and so kind of hostile, we've had an overwhelming positive response. So it's just been.
Well, good. There's a lot of people who are fed up.
Yes. And that is the general message. That's the sort of the second thing I was going to say, is that we also have kind of not scrapped our platform, but we've recognized that we're in a different environment than a regular election cycle. This isn't time to just talk casual policy, right? That's not what people are thinking about. They don't want to know about your tax reform plan. Like, they want to know that you're sick and tired of the lockdowns too.
Yeah.
That's what they want to hear from just one of the people up on that stage. Libertarians actually have a unique angle here, because we have always been against these mass lockdowns, this idea that the government should just shut everyone down, limit how many people can gather in groups, create a bunch of arbitrary rules, contradict those rules a few weeks later. Everyone's fed up with it. So it's a unique angle, because we can go, yeah, the government does suck. Let us show you what else they suck at, and how the private sector could do better, how a free market could do better.
Yeah, give us an opportunity to lead.
Well, and one of the common things we say is try something new, because up here it really is as hegemonic as it is down there. There's the big D and the big R, and you're on team red or team blue. Well, up here it's team red and team orange, and that's the only difference. The orange team is just your guys' blue team. It's the same, it's the same thing. And so what we're trying to do is encourage our candidates to just sort of think about the possibility that maybe people are actually fed up with establishment politics and are becoming that way, and that they can provide a different sort of angle on this whole thing.
Yeah. So we have an election coming up in October, and I think that's when yours coming up as well.
Yeah. October 24th. Yeah.
Ours is mostly federal and state. Here in Washington, local elections are next year. Now, what are you doing over the next 4 weeks to get your candidates, more votes?
More votes. Yeah. Well, one of the things that we're doing is we're simplifying our platform, like I said. But that really is a part of our candidate preparation process, is we're going to get rid of the 25-point plan for British Columbia or whatever we had cooking in the books. And it's going to be look, what are the top 3 things on people's mind? Number 1 is the lockdowns. And then, up here, there's this monopoly on public auto insurance. You have to buy auto insurance from the government. And it's, as you can imagine, one of the most poorly run businesses on earth.
Yeah, most government-run businesses are.
It's special. It loses about $1 billion a year, and when the other guys are in power, all they do is force them to pay over profits to the government general revenues. So they just use it as a slush fund.
Oh, geez.
And we're all forced to just play along. So that's a huge issue up here that nobody's on the right side of. We're the only ones who are why don't we just end the monopoly?
Yeah.
Why don't we just end the monopoly and legalize auto insurance? So we're just choosing a few angles. That's That's one of the ways we're helping prepare our candidates is we're not giving them this, hey, here's your 50-page booklet of our policy. Memorize every word of it, including the tax reform plan and the tax brackets. Like, if you mention tax brackets to someone now in the middle of COVID, their eyes will glaze over instantaneously.
Absolutely, yeah.
The only time you can mention tax reform is with very simple language. Are you for more or less? More for less. Great. But to get more complicated than that right now is ridiculous. What we're focusing on is like, what's the economic impact of COVID? You know, like 14,000 businesses closed in Vancouver alone. Many of those businesses won't reopen. So we're trying to provide simple messaging for the climate we're in. Beyond that, there is going to be a lot of interaction. Like I say, we're probably going to call every candidate a dozen times throughout the next 4 weeks. How you doing? What do you need help with? What are your questions? And if it's not phone calls, it's emails or it's Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot.
Are any of your candidates planning on going door to door or hanging stuff up door to door, even if they're not going to knock?
So I have to actually like shout out Clayton Wellwood, our party president, because this dude has not only been party president like 150% since the writ dropped, but he has already gone door to door to start collecting his own signatures to run.
Nice.
Like, this guy's out there. And
nice.
he's
leading from the front.
He's leading from the front, and the man's working while he's doing it somehow. I don't know what he's doing over there, but he looks like he's got 3 phones, and he's like, yeah, he's moving
walking around.
But you know what? That's so exciting to see that in this time, this age, this woke culture age, there are people who still are that passionate about freedom and liberty.
Oh, absolutely.
Classical liberal ideas. Like,
I don't know. I'm seeing a lot more people who are stepping up. We've seen a gradual increase of support and membership and candidates. You know, this is the time right now. And unfortunately, government overreach hurts people, and then those hurt people end up becoming libertarians.
That's right.
They've been hurt by the government.
We just had this conversation at a barbecue after our annual general meeting. I'm not kidding at all. Someone else, one of our members, brought up exactly what you just said. Is like, I'm noticing a lot of libertarians got burnt at some point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Almost all of them have personal stories, and the ones that don't have personal stories, they're telling other people's personal stories. It's a family member or a close friend where they've been screwed over by the government, and it has actually inspired other people to take action.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and getting people to step up is just the first step, but getting them to commit to actually getting out and getting the signatures, not in 2 weeks or whatever, but now, that's sort of our litmus test for who's serious and who isn't. And we're being very decisive about actually asking people, hey, are you serious about this? Are you going to step up? And we're being very firm with people, and it's working. You know what I mean?
They have to.
It's now or never, because now this is our election now. We are not going to have another election for 4 years. This is it. And so for the next 4 years, we're down ticket focus for the first time. And so for many of these people, too. It is, and I'm so titillated by the opportunities, so many of which I've learned from you.
So let me ask you this. So the election this time is just for province elections?
Yeah, so it's at the provincial level. So we have 87 seats across British Columbia.
Gotcha. Okay. And then next year, are you still going to have those local races?
Yeah, so we have local races like in the cities of Vancouver. Like, Vancouver is actually a bunch of municipalities all stitched together, and so they have their elections around the same time. But there are always by-elections, and there's always like political fallouts. People quit, all that kind of stuff. So there's, yes, to answer your question, yes, we will have those local races. We've never participated in them before, though, as a provincial party. We're not even sure what the rules are there, if we can be a provincial party with municipal candidates, or if we have to form some municipal party.
Yeah. So here in Washington State, all the local elections are nonpartisan. Is that the way in BC?
It used to be. It used to be.
So now okay.
Very recently, there were parties in Vancouver. That wasn't really a thing for a long time. We had groups like Vision Vancouver sort of come along. I'm not claiming they were the first, but when it's just one of the first I remember. And when one popped up, it was like the floodgate broke open. It's like, oh, we're doing parties now? We're doing parties. Okay, we're doing parties. Everyone, someone get a logo. And it took off instantly. So
well, let's work on that as well, because we can run some ads recruiting candidates We're going to do that here in Washington State. We've got some candidates lined up next year, but let's talk more about what you have to do this year.
Right.
So you've got your candidates that are basically preparing their last minute campaigns and having to launch and having to collect signatures and do everything last minute, right?
Yes.
So one tool that we have is our campaign success workbook. And then we have the online academy, which has leadership training, and it's got a bunch of courses on how to build a campaign team and fundraising and so on and so forth, which I'm totally on board. You guys have access, and you can add any of your candidates that you want for free.
Oh, thank you, Michael.
And then I'll go ahead and send this over as well. It can be printed out, or people can read the digital version.
Excellent. Yeah. Digital assets especially are so useful. You know, we a little pro tip for everyone listening.
Mm-hmm.
We have made great use of Google Suites. We use Google Drives and all the apps that are plugged into it.
Mm-hmm.
And people can because it's not it's a cloud-based thing. So people can engage with it all at the same time and collaborate on things. It's just being saved all the time on the cloud. And
Yep.
it actually turns, like, a Word document turns into an amazing collaborative space.
Yep.
You know, and you get on a phone call at the same time and you're laughing. Like we banged out emails twice a day for the past 3 days doing that.
Nice.
Yeah. And it makes the work so much easier than one person being like, hey, you write the email, and you're just alone in a dark room like
Crying.
This sucks. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's always better to work with a team. And I know libertarians are all running in different directions because we're all crazy cats, but
that is a really good concept. I think we'll
Yeah.
go ahead and implement that for a few projects we have going on.
I've been impressed with Google Suite so far, anyways, as a collaborative tool. Really, just higher concept though. You should be using collaborative tools. Whatever you agree with, it's always better to work as a team.
Yeah. So let's talk about your candidates right now and their plans for the future. Most of them are going to be running for their first time, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. And you've ran before once, right?
Once.
One time.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember how many votes you got before you ran?
Before I ran?
Yeah.
Oh, this is one of those questions. A few, but not as many as I should have.
So before you ran, you got 0 votes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then how many votes did you get this last time that you ran?
It was 488.
So that's a pretty big gain from 0 to 488. That's like 488% gain.
That's what I got. Yeah.
Huge
it's
gain.
Not bad return. Yeah. Yeah.
So, every one of your brand new candidates needs to go into the election with that mindset.
Yes.
Everything I'm doing is an improvement on where I've been. Not only that, like, they're getting a crash course in campaigning. They're not going to get a ton of experience, but they're going to get some, and that's going to help out the next time they run for office.
That's right. Yeah.
And getting people to shift their focus from after this election, win or lose, win, they get to actually legislate. They get to actually participate. And it's going to be a game changer for you guys.
Yes.
But if, let's say, a candidate doesn't quite make it through, right? They didn't win the election. They still have to think that they did win because they gained a ton of experience. They're going to come out of this election with a bigger network, with, who knows, 488 people supporting them in the future, right? Which, you're going to be running again, and I guarantee you're going to get higher than 488.
That's the benchmark I've set for myself. I don't have any delusions of grandeur. Yep. I simply have a new floor. 488.
It's reality, right?
Exactly.
If you come in at it with not like, I'm going to win. Like,
well, and then to be disappointed when you don't. And it's like, what movie do you think you're living in right now?
Yeah. So instead of saying I'm going to win, say I'm going to do everything within my power to attempt to win. And if I don't win, it's still a win. It's just not, I'm not in office. I'm still working to get
There's
into office.
Gradations of winning here, folks. Yeah. And also just to understand that you are still being given a unique opportunity to stand in front of the citizens, your neighbors, often hundreds of them at a time, and give your representatives crap if they've been really bad, hold them accountable, change hearts and minds, spread the ideas of liberty, ideas that many of these people will have never heard for the first time. Like, you get to be that torch of liberty once every 4 years. That's what's exciting. It's not about winning the election. Would that be great? Are we ready to do that? Do we have plans? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
we
I
love
got
because
legislation
we
ready to go.
love where we live. We love where we live, and we want to take care of it.
So I'd like your candidates just to have the mindset that they're
Mhm.
going in and they're going to continue after the election, right? They're going to start building their website, whether they finish it or not. It should be pretty easy to get 3 issues up on a website, basic stuff, but they can build on that. Now going into the next election, they already have that website. They may just need to change what they're running for.
That's right.
But they're already continuing it through. And
Yeah.
with this new age that we're in, everything's going to be digital for the most part, So going through the winter, a lot of times people take a break from campaigning because you can't go out really and talk to people. It's cold, it's wet, it's, people are staying home. This is going to be the perfect opportunity because most people will be home.
Yeah.
And they're going to be looking for content.
Yeah,
So,
well, absolutely. Yeah. People are sometimes surprised. I tell our candidates, when I signed up in 2015, I pledged to run for 3 elections, rain or shine.
Yep.
And that gives people pause because it's like, oh, well, what do you mean? Like, you assume you're not going to win the first time? It's like, yeah, because I'm not a lunatic. Like, you need to change your perspective.
I'm not a psychopath.
Right. Well, and I use a very good example that we have here in Canada. So in Canada, we have a Green Party federally. Across the country that has been in government, not with great power, but a few seats, or really, I think 2. And one of them is the leader, Elizabeth May. Elizabeth May ran like 5 times before she was elected. Yeah. She just kept going. And that's actually part of what earned her seat was just, is she still running? Someone let her go do the job for 4 years so she stops. And she ended up staying in Parliament for a long time until they made her leave pretty much. And
you'd be surprised at the number of candidates that did not win their first time, but they won eventually.
Yes, exactly. And you need to keep that perspective and to know that it's happened before and will happen again.
Is there a chance you could run 20 times and never win? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's happened to people. We hear those sad stories, It's just like, I had a great political career in my head. I wish I could have acted it out.
So with that said, spreading ideas should be the main purpose of your campaign, is to plant these seeds of ideas, and they'll grow in some people and they'll die in other people. But Ron Paul said it best: they can never unhear what we tell them. Yes. So we just have to keep planting these ideas in people's minds. And like I said, some of them it'll grow and some of them it's not going to, and that's okay. That's part of the process.
Right.
So that's the mindset, right? When you're going out and talking to people, collecting signatures, some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. If you talk to someone and they're standing 10 feet back with 3 masks on and they say, well, I want the lockdowns to continue, you just say next. Thank you, next.
Yes, move on. Yes,
Thank
we
you.
actually, it's funny. We mentioned that in an email today to our candidates in a very nice way, but we really did say, like, look, you're there to get signatures, not have conversations. If people want to disagree with you, that is the least valuable sink of your time right now.
So the key to having these conversations, and it may take a little bit to get the hang of it, is you have to find agreement as quickly as possible. And if you start off with disagreement, you want to move on. You don't want to sit there and you don't want to argue with people, right? Or you could just shift, right? If there's a disagreement, shift. Well, what do you think about drug policy? Or what do you think about taxes? And if you go through a couple and it's not a match, it's not a match, and you just move on. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
People from other parties are also trained to keep the canvasser there as long as possible too, to bogart their time.
Right.
And you don't want to fall into that trap where you're arguing with people.
No, and it's just, you don't want to be wasting your own time. But even with people who are also in strong agreement with you, I know libertarians, you can sit there on the corner and talk to that one guy about all the libertarianism for 2 hours and not get the work done. And it's remembering your purpose,
Yeah, in that case, have another notebook that you can hand where you get their information, their contact info. And then when you get home later in the evening, shoot them an email saying, thank you. Great conversation. Let's chat some more. Here's how you can support my campaign. Here's my website. You can make a donation right here. If you can't donate, would you like to put a sign in your yard or, whatever else?
whatever it is, the point being, make those connections happen, because you still want to have that conversation, but it's like, remember your purpose today, remember your purpose tomorrow. You will eventually need to have those conversations. That's part of the cycle.
Absolutely.
Is winning over valiant supporters who then go and tell 200 people about you because they're crazy. Like, you need those conversations too.
Yes.
Just not while you're getting your signatures, because you have 11 days.
Having a sales mindset, right? That right there is a repeat customer. You want it to be a repeat customer. He likes you now, but if you don't email him, he may not like you later. He'll be like, oh, that guy, he didn't even email me and said he was going to email me. You know, he may agree with you, but he may just be pissed off because you didn't respond. You know,
and it honestly takes 30 seconds to send an email. People, don't overthink it.
Yeah,
because you don't need to be writing novellas for each voter.
No, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. Don't let perfection be the enemy of winning.
Thank you for saying this, Michael. This is one of our mottos, right? Do not let perfect be the enemy of the good. Get it made. You know, this is why we were able to activate our YouTube channels. It's like, look, let's stop waiting around for one of us to suddenly learn how to be like a video editing wizard and make these crazy ads. Like, look, let's just turn on the cameras and talk truth and talk policy, and we'll get better over time.
Yep.
And guess what? Guess what? It's happening all the time. We're always making improvements. Eventually you get sick of, why don't I just buy a new camera? You get sick of it, and people make the upgrades, and it happens over time. But if you don't ever record that first podcast episode, or you don't ever record that first Q&A or do that live stream, like, it never happens then. It just never happens.
You got to look at it as crap 1.0. The first time you're running for office, you're releasing crap 1.0, and then you get to okay 2.0 or mediocre 3.0 or good 4.0. Hopefully your 1.0 to 2.0, you go from crap to great. You know, hopefully you invest the time over the winter.
That is the purpose of the Libertarian Leadership Academy. You can find more at
libertarianleadership.org.
Sorry. I didn't mean to break it to ad copy there. That's old habit.
Yeah, like I said, you have admin access. If anyone else is watching this, I'm going to post it on the Libertarian Leadership Academy page, and you want access for free, please reach out, send a message to the page, and we'll get you access to that. We just want libertarians to win and to make impact by being effective in their messaging and their marketing and their campaigning.
And there really are other great assets, like explore the website. There are videos on there that have just changed my perspective, blown my mind. And even if you can't use it all, there's something on there that's super valuable. So
we're looking for contributors as well. We can, if anyone has an idea for a course or has ideas, training, whatever, that they think can add value, you know, even if it's a short 5-minute video, 3-minute video, something, we can put it on there and blast it out.
Yep. And don't be shy. Like, the worst thing Michael can say is no. But the best thing that could happen is it goes up on the page, right?
Well, I won't say no. What I'm going to say is, if you improve this, then we can get it up. This is what you got to improve.
Yeah, if you could not record it on a flip phone Nokia that you found on like a sewer somewhere, like, that would be nice. Love the concept.
Looking up into your nose, right?
Well, and you know, and again, that literally, I mean, we're kind of poking fun, but that is like the same idea. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Is like, maybe your first video isn't going to look like an HD production, but as long as you try, you'll surprise yourself.
Oh, absolutely. So there is one more thing that I want to talk about before we get off, and you may want to talk about something else as well, but it's called taprooting. And what taprooting is, it's writing down the list of all the people that you know that are in your region, right? All the people who you think may have a good impression of you, okay? The ones that don't like you, your haters, you don't want to include them in the list, right? But the people who you think you have good rapport with, you want to write all their names down. You want to brainstorm, person that cuts your hair, the person that your mechanic, you know, your insurance agent, just your neighbors, the people in the community, whoever you know, you want to write their name down, because you're going to start with that list. You want to get some wins early on. And the only thing that you're going to do is you're going to call and ask them for their vote. That's it. You're going to tell them, you're going to let them know that you're running, and you're going to ask them for their vote. And they're going to most likely say yes. When they say yes, you want to ask them if they can help support your campaign by either telling other people or donating so you can get the word out.
That's right.
And the reason why is because small commitments lead to large commitments. Getting someone's vote's easy because it doesn't cost them anything, right? We only get one vote, and let's say, they don't like you. Well, then yeah, you lose it, but you need to ask for it anyways. And if you can get that one small commitment in the beginning, you can get larger commitments, $10 donation, $20, $100, right? Or an hour of their time or 2 hours of their time, right? You can get some more commitments from that. If they believe in you enough to vote for you, they're most likely going to be invested into your campaign, right? They're going to pay attention more because they just agreed to vote for you. They're going to tell other people because they want you to win. There are some libertarians who have a very loser type mentality, whereas, we see it as we want to win elections. Okay. We don't want to just lose elections. So we are going to go out and tell our friends to help vote for you and get you into office because we want you to win.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and throw this gauntlet down. If your friends really are going to not help you, maybe you got to reevaluate some of those relationships. And I'm not saying maybe it's not their fault, maybe it's yours. I don't know. But the point is, if you have that network, not everyone has that network. If you have it, it's a terrible thing to waste. Yeah, it's a terrible thing to waste because the value in that is. I can't even put it into words. I mean, it's one person doing the right things at the right time who likes you and is willing to say good things about you behind your back. That can do a lot to impress people.
Yeah, that edification, that's what it's called when you're out there promoting someone else, right? You're acting as a surrogate, right? You're acting as an ambassador for the campaign. If you got 20 people out there saying good things about you, you're going to greatly increase your election results. Now, whether you're only connected with 5 people in your community or 50 people in your community, you need to taproot. You need to do it. 5, that's great. You have less people to contact. Not so good because then you have to go make more people to contact.
Right.
But if you got 150 people to contact, that's going to take up some time. But that's another 150 votes. And then those people, whether they know 5 people or 50 people, you have to ask them to do the same thing for you. For them to put their list down, and that's the next ask, to get them to put their list and to call their friends or email their friends or message their friends in your riding or in your city council or in your county or, in your whatever district that you're running in.
Whatever you're running for. Yeah.
To do the same thing. Yes. To help your campaign and to help you win.
And it's like you said, small commitments become big commitments. We're talking about the very first stages in this particular recording, just those very first stages. But what you're also doing right now is you're planting the seeds for your campaign team, for your canvassing, for your volunteers. Who's going to go knock on doors with you? How are you going to cover 30 square city blocks? You're not going to do it alone. You're not going to do it alone. So you're planting seeds now. If they say yes now, they'll say yes later to bigger asks.
Oh, sure.
That's the hope.
And you're going to find the ones that are absolutely committed, that they love liberty, they love the principles we stand for, and that could be your potential campaign manager in the future, or political director, volunteer director, fundraising director, treasurer, secretary, whatever you need for your campaign. That person may be that guy. You don't know. But if you don't reach out and ask for that very first simple thing, that vote, even if it's someone that you know for a fact is going to vote for you, call them and ask them, seal the deal, get them to say yes and commit to it. That's going to be the first step. That small victory, that small commitment that you need to be able to ask for larger commitments. And it'll make you feel good, right? Part of campaigning is knowing that when someone says yes to you, you get that little dose of oxytocin in the brain or the little dopamine hit, like, I got a yes. I got a yes.
Lets you know you're on the right path.
Definitely. Now, this is where it gets complicated. When you acquire a go for no strategy, when you get excited when someone tells you no, that right there, it'll just take your outreach to a new level because you get those dopamine hits when someone says no to you.
So is this you encourage people to go for no?
Absolutely, yeah, because that'll keep you going. Right. If you go for no, like when someone says no to you, most people hate rejection. Most people don't will not run for office because they don't want to lose. They won't try
Yeah.
new things because they think they may fail.
Yeah,
right?
or
They
they're
don't want-
worried they're going to embarrass themselves or something
Sure.
like that. Yeah, yeah.
Well, guess what? You are going to embarrass yourself if you're running for office. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to say the wrong things at the wrong time, or the right thing at the wrong time, or the wrong thing at the right time. You know, you never know.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to learn and grow, and to
Yeah.
forgive yourself in the process if you do make mistakes.
Look at how readily politicians forgive themselves for heinous garbage.
Heinous crap.
You fumble your words a little bit or say something a little off color once because it kind of crossed your mind. Look, don't let it roll right off you. Let it roll right off you. These people do not care about you. They're voting for you, and then they're going to forget who you are for 3.5 years.
Well, look at Trump and Biden. I don't know if you guys pay attention, but these guys say stupid shit all the time. They're making gaffes left and right.
Trump has practically monetized making gaffes. He's made it part of his industry. It's like, oh, what's that ridiculous orange clown saying today? People tune in to get part of the gaffe.
And then you got libertarians afraid to speak up because they don't want to say the wrong thing, right?
This is not us. That's right. Yeah, we have to be willing to speak the truth, and you have to be a little bold.
Absolutely. Boldness will bring people to your cause. If you are bold, if you're meek, no one's going to follow you.
If you are quiet, if you're glancing down at your papers, this is really the next episode. But if you're in your little world and then when you're done campaigning for the day, you just go home and turn off your phone and go play video games, guess what? You're going to get less than 1%. And that's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel good.
You know, the next one we'll talk about boldness.
I think
some other strategies for personal development, to get your mindset right, to get that sales mentality, the go for no mentality, to where you're excited when you get opposition. You know, if you don't have any haters, if you don't have any opposition, then you're not going to win your election. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. If you're not getting that type of outreach to where people are arguing with you, people are disagreeing with you, you are not going to win because you're not reaching enough people.
That's right.
You have to be excited about the no's and the haters.
Welcome them and then let them do their jobs.
Yes, promote you.
Absolutely. That's what they're doing. If you've got people arguing about you while you're not there, you're winning.
Yep.
You're winning.
Look at Trump, look at Biden, look at these guys that win elections. They attract controversy, but let's attract controversy in principle, right?
Yes.
Let's just not be an asshole, because you can attract controversy by being an asshole, but that's not going to win anyone over.
No, and it's a temporary victory. It might feel good because you get a dopamine hit when you make someone else lose. It's just the way humans are built, but it's a temporary thing. What you really want to do is you want to win people over permanently.
I'm glad we brought this up, because people can get confused by you need some haters, because you could easily create haters by calling people names online, but that's not the right way to do it. You want to create haters by giving good arguments in principle.
Yes.
Right?
And our classical liberal principles, guess what? They're controversial right now. You literally just have to speak your mind and you're going to ruffle some feathers. Just insinuating that the government ought to have less of a role in our lives is controversial nowadays. We're on the winning side of this. It's not hard to create controversy without being a dick, without being a bad person.
Well, isn't it crazy that we're the radical ones, the ones that are saying, hey, you should stop stealing from people. Hey, you should stop infringing on people's rights. We're the crazy ones. And these guys that are trampling on our rights, they're the sane ones. This
Celebrities.
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense, Michael. I was 5 years old when I learned not to hit people and take their stuff.
Yeah. So many authoritarians in power, However, they've got the population convinced that they have to vote for them. So it's up to us to get out there. It is our duty to raise money, to taproot in our networks, to bring in volunteers. It's our duty to do this. So
absolutely.
I want to thank all of the candidates out there watching, all of the people who've now decided that they're going to run for office, and then they're going to continue, whether they win big or win not so big, they're going to continue after it,
Yeah, this is just the beginning, folks. This is just the beginning. So if you're nervous now, just give it a few years.
Awesome, Kyle. Hey, anything else you want to talk about?
No, Michael, I think you've done a fantastic job here getting us started. I hope I can talk to you again soon.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, let's plan another one here for the next week, because this is it. This next week, they're going to be going out talking to people, and for the ones that collect the signatures, they're still going to go out and talk to people.
Yes.
So let's get some wins, and if not some, big wins, let's get some small wins so people are excited about going into the next election.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you got some value from it. And if you did get some value from the show, please do me one of two things, or both things. Share this with other libertarians that you know. Hopefully, they'll run for office too. The second thing is to make a small monthly contribution on our Patreon, or purchase a product from our online supplement and CBD store, North Spokane Apothecary.com. Discount code Liberty for 20% off. So if you're currently taking any CBD products, check out what we have to offer, save some money, and support a libertarian-owned business. And always remember, code is Liberty for 20% off, and liberty is the absence of outside control or oppression over our lives, as long as we don't infringe on the person, property, or natural rights of another. Thank you all for what you do, and we will see you next week.